Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being here as well. So let's introduce briefly. So Mr. Martin Jewell needs no introduction, CTO of Rapid Fusion.
Hi everyone.
And I always get this wrong, but I'll say Michail.
Michail Michalis in Greek.
Michalis.
Yes.
You're obviously my pronunciation in Greek's not great.
It's all right.
I
Michalis.
do try though to say Macau. Based on Macau.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I may absolutely annihilate it, so I apologise if I do.
No, I don't know what's at all. I don't
My Devon tones.
I've been too long in the UK to worry about that. But everyone calls me, all my friends call me Michail.
Michail. So Michail from AI Build, and obviously myself, Jake, MD, Rapid Fusion. We just wanted to grab some time. So today's been the launch.
Thanks. Wonderful.
Medusa launch, 18-month labour of love project to produce this amazing machine. I think when this goes out, there'll be other stuff that's gone out that shows the reactions and all the people attended. Fantastic day. Just really wanted to kind of dive into a little bit, I think, about the process that we've gone through on this project, firstly, where you see hardware and software aligning, because we've got this formed partnership that was really strong and we love working with you guys, and you've been a massive asset to our production of what we built today. And then kind of where we see things going over the next 12 to 18 months, probably, would be great. So I think for you, it would be great to understand, like, you've been everywhere in the last, it seems like seemingly forever. You've been traveling around like
Travels a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from other hardware partners? What are you seeing in the market? Where are you seeing that you're adding value? Where do you see like kind of the difficulties that still exist in terms of the advancements everybody needs to make?
Yeah, it's a very big question, a very good question actually. And thank you for having us. Thank you for a fantastic event. It's obvious it's a Herculean effort and well done to the Rapid team and you guys. We are very happy that we were a small part of it. We know at AI Build working with hardware is hard, but you have done an exceptional work, and we are amazed of that achievement. It was really cool.
Thank you.
And just by seeing the machine from the outside, it looks beautiful and industrial. So just back to your question, Jack. The last month I've traveled a lot in Europe and in US, meeting different partners, and because there was a need to really hear our customers existing and also make new connections and start more conversation in the region, especially in US. But what we've seen that anywhere in the world, especially in large-scale 3D printing, there's not much connection between the hardware and the software. Unfortunately, all we have hardware manufacturers that have their built-in software, but usually comes to be very good for that system, but limited in some senses. So for us, because we got our hands dirty in the beginning with hardware, we decided to build a platform that can be hardware agnostic. And the whole idea is to use the new means of software engineering to build a platform and not a software. And there is a difference of how we define the platform for us. We want to build a platform so that others can build software on it.
Oh, right, okay, this is interesting.
Because
So explain a little bit about how you see that, how that works. So you see it as you're building a platform.
yeah,
So when you say people building software on top of it, how does that look in your head?
so first of all, you need to start with the right architecture.
Okay.
You need to be in the cloud because the cloud gives you the opportunity to scale with the community and the assets that can be imported much faster. But at the same time, we need to provide an adjacent desktop application for off-grid applications.
Okay.
The main thing that we had to build early on, and it was a risk, as any young company to build a platform, an architecture that is flexible enough for other people to build their own IP, their own, as we call, workflows. And that's why we call them a workflow. So as you build your own workflow, that becomes your engineering IP, your own nodes. So the more you work on it, the more our partners work on it, the more they can advance that knowledge and embed that knowledge into the software. Rather than basically having, as we call it, a black box that you imported geometry and is sliced in a certain way, you build an engineering workflow.
Okay, so interesting for me, because we've worked together a long time now, and obviously hearing you speak about your platform and how you differentiate. So your vision of this is like very key for people to understand the difference between anything else on the market and what you offer. So you're building
easily digestible.
Yeah, but it's a platform where you're able to create what you need. So you're building on a base that allows you to achieve things, but it's for you to guide and develop where you want it to go. With the fundamentals built into it, ingrained into it to allow you to do that.
So
Is that kind of how you see it?
kind of.
I'm trying to get into the crux of because I think it's really difficult to understand for anybody what the options are in the market and how.
So let me try to simplify it. There's no question that that model can only grow if we work closer with our partners. And the partners that they're going to work the most with us in our software are by default is going to make the partnership strong. Why? We provided some tools in our software at a very low level parametric tools that if you put them together, they can create unique solutions.
Yes.
These tools, if you put them, they can be put together in various configurations. So it's very scalable and flexible. It doesn't mean that you have only one way to slice a part, even to slice horizontally or to slice angularly or non-plane. You can do that in many ways because you have a library of tools. So by using those library of tools, basically, you own that IP. So that's what we provide. We provided a set of tools, and then our partners and customers, as they put together these tools, they build their own engineering workflows that they own and is their competitive advantage. Obviously, then that can be strengthened by the close collaboration between the hardware partner, the customers, and the software provider to enhance it even further for specific capabilities that the hardware machine has.
So in terms of the Medusa launch today, where do you feel the hardware that we've provided can enable your software to get our clients to produce workflows that are more unique than our competitors?
Especially for the Medusa project, it's something that motivates us and excites us a lot because it's, I don't know if there are more similar machines. From my knowledge, I don't. I think what you've delivered is very unique in terms of the flexibility of different extruders in additive and subtractive. You have that help us basically find now new methods to use this flexibility of the machines to provide more flex and solution of how we approach an application.
I think on that as well, I just wanted to touch on what you just said there. So one of my thought processes is, right, what is the next? So we've got output. So the tool, in our machine, Medusa by definition was picked because of the multiple heads, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got that in terms of an output. And then within the machine, we've got lots of capabilities of capturing data. And where I feel that the next gen of your platform will help and our platform will help is the amalgamation of the two, where you've got sensory data input that then allows you to create loops of data that can create different, building on that platform model that you spoke about. It kind of enables that next generation of capabilities that perhaps are lacking a little bit now in the market, where you can only, to unlock all these tools that you have in your software, you need the hardware to have the capability to take in this data, to give you something back end that comes out the other end. And I think this is where we're seeing almost like, it's almost like version 2.0, if you like, of, and we were probably up to higher versions than that, but 2.0 of the industry changing in terms of the way that we produce things.
So it's a paradigm shift, isn't it?
It's a massive shift.
It's the fact that data is key, and utilizing AI is key to all of our success. But how can you capture that data? You need sensors, and you need hardware that deeply integrates those sensors. And that has been the key ethos to Medusa. It's the fact that we need to front load ourselves and future-proof our hardware to ensure that software can be fully utilized. And I think it'd be good for you to sort of dive a little bit deeper in terms of how you see that as a software provider, and what magic you can pull out of all this data we can now provide you.
So data is the most important aspect, and not so much the technical, how we're going to develop an AI agent to take care of that. Sometimes even using statistical algorithms to control that data can be more optimized. So AI is just another tool. Now, imagine you have just a robot with an extruder. It's going to give you certain data. Having a machine that has a pellet extruder, a filament extruder, and a spindler will maximize the output of data by 3 times. So that's what. Data is the most important. The more data you have,
the more. So we were trying to put together the other day. We have an idea around data and language models that we're now learning LLMs, and we think that there's going to be a big shift in data capture, and also language models that actually understand that data. So you talked about you can still work with data now on a very linear basis and do quite a lot with it, but then having a model that actually learns from all the data, and your software inherently sort of this data capture and all the rights to this data. There's a big shift in okay, we're a cloud-based software provider or platform provider, as you said. We can capture lots of data, and actually, if we create a model based on all of the people we deal with, imagine how much advancements we can make in loads of areas, but we need to be more intelligent in the way we capture the data. So I think the shift will come, for me, not just with AI being there, but AI is only as good as the model that it's learned. Right? So you must be thinking a lot now. There must be big topics all the time around AI, and it's huge, and we don't all know yet, right? Really, all the outputs. But in my head, it's like the future's got to be capturing this data and creating a model, a language model that understands that data, that then gives real-world feedback into the next thing that it ever produces. So how do you see that working? Do you have are you started to find in the market as well, how do you have that conversation with people? Where can you utilize this cloud model that you have to utilize that data to do more with
I guess to add on to that, are our current clients, are they ready for this? Or do we need to guide them towards this? And it's that feedback loop. I'll be really interested to see your thought process on data in, data process, data out. How do we improve? Because that's the key to unlocking AI in the real world.
Big topic.
I know. What a question.
So I will tell you how we are thinking it internally as AI build. We've seen quite a pushback with anything related to cloud. Because cloud is scary, especially in defense. But there are some big aerospace companies that they want to try, and they are taking the risk. Actually, cloud can be a lot more secure sometimes. And what we had as a young company, we had to navigate to work on the cloud, to deploy that in specific servers, or even do on-prem solutions. Also, there is a possibility to to deploy AI into the desktop too. As
Like a localized version.
yes,
Yeah.
What does that look like in terms of processing power? Is that attainable to a small to medium-sized business, or do you see that only attainable to
I
some?
think it's becoming more attainable.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a leading question. To be honest.
It depends what you drive, what your AI is driving. So what we see now is a lot of people using AI for response, a text response. So if you ask 3D printing questions to ChatGPT, it's going to give you very good answers to it, but they're not going to be the same technical knowledge that you know, or my people like Nicoletta and Rudy know have been printing for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could ask an AI model all day,
But you know,
and it's never going to.
do you know why that is, though? We all know why that
Isn't
is.
there? No one's
Because we're not feeding that data
Yes,
into a language model.
So it's finding that data from the web.
It's
But
finding-
everyone who knows that data doesn't put that data on the web because it's their IP.
You can feed your own data, and that's what we are working on. But as you might overfeed the data, and then the data is not going to work.
You're very skewed to your opinion. Isn't it?
Yes, and so there is a calibration involved on it. Then the other aspect is, how do I make my customers and partners competitive?
Yeah.
Because they have their own competition. So you have your own competition, I have my own competition. How do I deploy? How I provide a platform so that you can build your own IP? So it is dependent on how much you
Okay. So this is back to what you were
make
saying
your-
before. This
Yeah.
is what makes more sense now.
Yes.
Because when you said you build your own IP,
Otherwise, you can come back
So
to
if I-
me and say that why you are sharing the same information to others.
yeah, but
So how do
on
I
that-
make it fair?
So on that, and I'm not AI build.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm AI build,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about I'm going to need to start having a conversation with partners around options.
Yeah.
And those options are going to look very different depending on what your motivations are and what you're willing to share. But if we're all willing to share something for the greater good of development of where we go with the technology, then all of a sudden you can do many things, right?
Yeah.
But when you talk about a localized version of a language model that you're building within your own organization, that's one option potentially. But you've got, I think, as a business, and I'm not AI built, but as a business, like a real hard, in your roadmap, you're going to have to come up with some really hard questions around what direction are we going in and what we're offering, and how does that benefit the person at the other end?
Yeah.
And how do we make that easy for them to make the decisions? Because everyone's scared,
Yeah.
very fearful right now around AI and data.
Yeah.
So it's a big task. So, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to solve all this today on this in this conversation, but I guess, what are your immediate gut feelings on how that might look over the next
I think
5 years, say?
Trust is the most important. Like partnering with the right partners is something we took from the beginning of AI, but very, very seriously. And like people like yourself that we work for almost 3 years now.
Yeah, they're crazy. Yeah.
That helps,
Still remember the
helps
initial
define
conversation.
these things together. I don't have all the answers, and AI can be reused if you leave it into the wild, but at the same time you want to leave it into the wild so it grows by itself. So one contradicts its other. I think the more...
It's
the
true.
more-
That's very true.
Yeah, or in one way it can be an agent that helps you drive it. So you, as you said on your presentation, and the mission of Medusa is to close the gap to the highly engineered engineers, to bring it to everyone, so that this technology truly scale.
Exactly.
But that also has a problem, because if we want to really push and put out all of our tools, can be misused.
Yeah.
Can be misused. So what is the technology we are going to use? Do we want to drive the engine, meaning drive the operators, the software? Do we want us to give it feedback?
This is interesting. You're right, actually, yeah.
Do we want the agent to give a feedback to the user about other solutions, for example, that exist, that are outside the mission of your business, because AI is going to be free? to give whatever it wants.
Blimey, this is turning into an AI philosophy.
But I think it's a
We
good...
got very deep into that. I think where it comes to is that I don't have the answers. I don't think anyone is something that
Nobody
evolving
does.
so
Nobody
much.
does.
I think that's the key. Isn't it?
Nobody does.
I think for us, though, we just want to democratize 3D printing,
Yeah.
especially large format and industrial 3D printing. We want it accessible to any business that wants to take it on without that huge burden of training and trying to find labour.
Yeah,
It's
but
unbelievable.
I think what we've got to think about is, so if I look at subtractive, so my history was like years and years ago, here's a milling machine, here's a lathe, here's a CNC, here you go, and you would plumb in coordinates and it would do what it needed to do. Now they're not even walking up to those machines, they're not even looking at them, they're just pressing a button and it's just cutting that tool, it's just doing what it needs to do. So we're not, everything's secular, right? So this industry is a newer sort of growing industry. There's lots more capabilities. It's a lot more harder to work out because the possibilities are a lot more vast. But I think what we're going to get to is probably all that data will be consumed and will be made to make everything that we use in terms of what goes into to create an output a lot more efficient. So you're going to get more results quicker and easier with more success. So the point is, I think what we've seen, and it is, we'll probably move off this topic, but in terms of 3D printing, what I've noticed is over the years, even the biggest brands in the world, Stratasys and all these other massive manufacturers, they haven't really figured out yet what they're asking the consumer for in terms of rights. Like, okay, we could do more for you, but we need to know more about your data. We need to take more data from your machine that you have to learn more, to improve what you have.
No, they don't allow it.
They don't allow it, right? So that's going to hold things back. So I think there's probably like a tiered approach. You'll probably go to everyone and go, certain people won't be able to allow that, others will. And then you'll have your own internal testing. I mean, you have, 6 machines always running, printing. You've been printing for a long time. You know lots about printing anyway. But where we're trying to be prepared as a hardware provider is to front load that sensory hardware, and capabilities to absorb that data. So that data's there. Whatever you try to do with that data is up to you. So someone keeps trying to do, but whatever you try to do with that data is up to you. So if you want to keep that data in-house, I believe with the advancements in NVIDIA's technology, you can have now a very, very small localized version that sits and holds that data and can be doing cognitive power to be able to create outputs that give you... So I think your software, it sounds like, because you mentioned agent a few times, you're thinking of an agent type view at some point within your capabilities, I'm guessing, reading between the lines, that allows certain things to be generative.
Yeah. I mean,
no pressure.
you know a lot better outside the podcast, but I think for me, what I see in general is people tend to gravitate towards creativity.
Yes.
Rather than finishing a part. Creativity helps innovation, because if I have the freedom to design whatever I want, I can really accelerate the innovation and the efficiency of the parts that they are coming out. So whenever I have to deal on the fact of how I'm going to manufacture it, it's becoming a blocker for my creativity.
Yeah.
So if I can automate that part, then I give more help to the creative people to really accelerate research and development and totally minimize certification time.
So they're focusing more on the outcome than the journey to get there.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is really key, I guess, because these people, they're not interested in the process. They're interested in the end part.
Yes.
And that's how
Get me there as fast as possible.
Whether that would be software or hardware, that's how we democratize 3D printing and how we make that mass adaptable, is the fact that people now just think, okay, my imagination and my creativity is free. And I know there's tools that will make that without any hardship.
Yeah.
And that comes from ease of use software,
Yeah.
easy use hardware, perfect amalgamation of the both,
Yeah.
and ensuring that it's a minimum click process.
Teamwork is key, and focus for its speciality with us. Another aspect that many people talk that they are going to lose their job, I think, coming back to the agents, a lot of times we see like old technologies and craftsmanship getting lost.
Yes.
Or that engineering knowledge in CNC, I always need to go to, I don't know, Paul or that friend that really knows how it is to get his experience, his years of experience.
Right.
And of course, without printing, you would never gain that experience. But these people that continuously growing that experience and mature during the process can now be the feeders of the agent.
Yes.
So they have a huge role to play to calibrate this new AI technology that is booming now into the right direction. So if we don't have them, AI will do whatever it wants.
It will be absolutely useless.
Yeah.
So without the right training, it doesn't.
No, exactly. So
But what we're talking about is like really taking, you know, if we look at manufacturing, and I feel like for me, manufacturing is, and even engineering has lost a lot of its core art form from where like years ago when, I mean, I'm not that old, but you know, say 20 years ago when, maybe a bit longer, when I went into engineering, we won't specify the date, but you know, it was very much like you do technical drawings on paper, you learn how to do that, you learn how to file something, make some, that art, we've skipped that now, because that's not needed now. You can go on to, you know, whatever, Fusion and design something and make it, and you don't need, so I think we've already, without realising, we've already had a lot of technology advancements in engineering that we now have like lost a lot of this other stuff that we don't need to do. So we're probably talking on a subject that's within very short, I mean, we're accelerating.
Yeah.
Very short period. We won't need to be, it will be plug and play and press and go, and that's where we're going to be. But we're pioneering that. These people just sat here, we're all pioneering that. And fascinating to get the feedback today from a lot of people around, like, they don't want the guesswork.
No.
They don't want any of that hardship. You know, years ago, people wanted, they knew that they would have that, but now they're going, we expect so much more.
Ideally, these systems, they need to get to a situation where you just drop your file into the machine.
Like a small 3D printer.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah.
0 clicks.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to go, but that's a journey, right? And we can only do that when we really collaborate and we utilize tools around us, utilize AI, and have that continuous feedback loop of this failed because of this, let's edit, and then the system will become more smart, more efficient, and then before you know it, the user is literally there to upload the files that they want.
I think with AI we can do that, but we also seen we've seen also the model of the black box with a one click with the small printers. The problem is that highly engineering companies that the requirements are really high, they still need to hack it.
Yeah.
Code it.
Yeah.
So we are going back to zero. So we get the automation that we had the plug and play. But it doesn't work for highly engineering applications.
Well, like what we're trying to do.
So it makes total sense. As the name says, the Medusa has many hands because it needs to take into consideration the flexibility and the capability of very different applications for that, for large-scale additive to scale.
Exactly.
And the same needs to happen with the software. It needs to have the flexibility, and as AI comes in, we will reach that point of full automation. But it's not an easy task.
No.
And we need to manage expectations correctly. We've seen it because we have printed. So for people that are starting now, They haven't printed, so they don't know what to expect. Unfortunately, we need to educate a lot more, and ultimately, at the end of the day, we also need to educate them about the right investment to make now, for today, and for the future. And that having the right team next to you as partners that can drive you today and help you today, but also they are robust enough to continue for the future, is key for the applications that they are going to be evolving.
100% agree. 100% agree. We'd like to talk to you about the next thing on the list would be, for me, you know, I've noticed in your lineup you've added, you've started, as we said before, we were talking off camera, you know, you've added this new system where you're now using, you know, a box that you plug in that allows you to capture more data, to be able to feed back into your platform, to give the user benefits, to be able to optimize whatever they're trying to output. For me, like the journey that we're trying to give is with our partnership, you know, with AI Build and Rapid Fusion, is to be, okay, well, let's just front load our products, our hardware with this stuff so that it's, you know, there's no blurring of lines. It's like you guys are providing the platform, we're providing the hardware, and it seamlessly gives you everything back.
Yes. Finally. Otherwise,
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, finally, you know, because no one really wants to have this collaboration. There are not many partners that they have tight partnership, and it's not in my benefit. I need to focus on the software.
Yeah.
I cannot work on the hardware.
Yeah.
So when I have the partners that we have a common understanding for the benefit of the industry, and they go the extra mile to build this so that we are ready for the future, that's great. Then we are all into the same page to really develop a solution that is superior and can deliver.
Amazing.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And I think for this, like today, I just want to thank you very much for all the collaboration and all the work you put in and helping us. Like, we really appreciate it. And we see a long, prosperous, fortuitous situation working with you guys in the future. I'd love to see the next generation, you know, what we can put out over the next 6 to 12 months.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting. And, you know, the technology that we put into Medusa is now going to follow into our roadmap in terms of our robotic solutions.
Yeah.
Very exciting. We're gonna do some amazing things together. So I want to thank you very much for today and for being here and sitting and chatting with us.
Thank you.
You know, thank you very much, and we look forward to what the next 12 months bring.
Thank you.
Cheers. I think that's a wrap.